There's a photograph of you that you can't remember anyone taking. You're maybe 1 year old in it. Someone is holding you up toward the camera, and your face is doing something open and unguarded. Something you'd never let it do today. When the people who love you tell you the story behind that photo, you nod along like you were there, but you weren't. Not in any way you can reach. You've lost the first 3 years of your life, and so has nearly everyone you've ever met. Most people assume those years never recorded. The baby brain was too new, too soft, too busy growing to keep anything worth saving. But the real answer is far stranger. Those memories may not be gone at all. Think about what actually happened in those missing years. You learned to hold up your own head. You learned that the giant faces leaning over your crib were safe. You worked out that certain sounds coming out of your mouth made food appear. You took a first step, which means your brain solved a balance problem that engineers still can't build cleanly into robots. You started learning a language from nothing, with no dictionary and no teacher, just by listening. In those first couple of years, your brain was wiring itself at a pace it will never touch again, building more than 1 million new connections every second. It was the steepest learning curve of your whole life, and you kept almost none of the footage. A doctor named Sigmund Freud noticed this blank spot more than 100 years ago and gave it a name: infantile amnesia. The odd thing he pointed out is that the forgetting isn't random. It has a hard edge to it. For most people, the wall sits right around their 3rd birthday. Ask an adult for their earliest memory and you'll usually land near age 3, maybe 3.5. Push before that and there's static. Hold on to that number, age 3, because it turns out to matter more than it should. We'll come back to it. So here's the question that kept scientists stuck for decades. Is the tape blank because nothing was ever recorded, or is something else going on? For a long time, the easy answer won. Babies just can't make memories yet. Their brains aren't finished. Case closed. And then, in the 1980s, a scientist named Carolyn Rovee Collier tied a ribbon to a baby's ankle. The other end of that ribbon ran up to a colorful mobile hanging over the crib. Babies as young as 2 months old worked out something clever all on their own. If they kicked, the mobile danced. So they kicked, and they grinned, and they kicked harder to make it dance more. Nothing surprising there. The surprise came later. Rovee Collier waited days, sometimes a whole week, then brought the same babies back and hung the same mobile above them, sitting still, and the babies kicked right away. They remembered the trick. Their little bodies knew exactly what that mobile was for. She found something else too. When enough time passed that a baby seemed to forget, a quick reminder could switch the memory back on. Just a glimpse of the mobile moving on its own, no kicking required, and days later the baby would start kicking again like no time had passed. The memory hadn't been destroyed. It had gone quiet, waiting for the right cue to wake it up. Tuck that away. It matters later. So much for the empty tape. Babies can form memories. They can hold on to them for days, even weeks, which cracks the mystery wide open and hands us a harder one. If a 2-month-old can remember, why can't a 20-year-old remember being 2 months old? Where do those early memories go? There are 2 prime suspects, and the first one is almost poetic. Your growing brain may erase its own hard drive. The place your brain files new memories is a small seahorse-shaped structure called the hippocampus. In a baby, the hippocampus is a construction site. It's sprouting new brain cells at a furious rate, faster than it ever will again for the rest of your life. 2 researchers, Frankland and Sheena Josselyn, looked at that flood of fresh cells and had an unsettling thought. What if building all the new wiring damages the old? Picture a library where the construction crew never clocks out. They keep knocking down walls and bolting in new shelves while the library is still open for business. Books get boxed up, shifted around, lost in the shuffle. Franklin and Josselyn tested this idea in young mice. When they sped up the growth of new brain cells, the mice forgot faster. When they slowed that growth down, the memories held on longer. The very growth that makes a baby brain brilliant might be the thing that wipes its slate. Now hold that thought, because the second suspect is completely different. It points not at the brain, but at words. Think about how you actually store a big memory. You tell it to yourself as a story. First this happened, then that happened, and it happened to me. That last part matters more than it sounds. To keep a memory as a memory, you seem to need a sense of me, a main character, a self that events happen to, and you need language to pin the story in place. A researcher named Katherine Nelson spent years showing how a child's memories bloom right alongside their words. Listen to a toddler who's just cracked language open, and you'll hear them narrating everything out loud. Doggy ran. I fell down. That running narration is a filing system switching on. Before a child has those words, before a child has a solid sense of I, an experience has nowhere to live. It happens in full, vivid color, and then it drifts off because there's no story to hang it on and no narrator to do the hanging. And now that number comes back, age 3. Right around the time most people's memories finally start to stick is right around the time a child locks in language and a clear sense of self. Maybe that's not a coincidence. Maybe the wall isn't where memory begins. It's where the you doing the remembering finally shows up. So which suspect is guilty? The construction crew or the missing words? For a while, that was the whole frontier. But the deeper question was still sitting there, untouched. And it's the strangest one of all. When those early memories vanish, are they truly erased, or are they just locked in a room you can't get into? For most of history, there was no way to even ask. You can't interview someone who can't talk. But in 2025, a team at Yale, led by a scientist named Nick Turk Brown, pulled off something that sounds impossible. They got wide-awake babies to hold still inside a brain scanner, long enough to watch what the hippocampus was doing while the babies looked at brand new pictures. If you've ever tried to get a baby to sit quietly for 10 seconds, you know how close to impossible that is. Most attempts fell apart. Babies squirmed or cried or drifted off to sleep. But enough of them held still, eyes open, watching. And what the scanner caught changes the whole story, and the hippocampus lit up when a baby later showed signs of recognizing an image, staring longer at the one they'd seen before. The scan showed that their hippocampus had been hard at work encoding it the first time around. The baby brain wasn't failing to record. It was recording. The camera was rolling the entire time. Sit with what that means. If the memories are being written, but you still can't play them back as an adult, then the blank in your mind isn't an empty tape after all. It's a locked room. The footage may be right in there. You've just lost the key. And that flips how you should picture your own beginning. Not as a void, as a sealed archive. Patricia Bauer, a memory researcher who has studied this for decades, has watched it happen almost in real time. Young children do carry their early memories for a while. A 3-year-old can tell you all about the trip to the zoo last summer, but then those memories start slipping away at a much faster rate than an adult's would, until most of them are gone. The forgetting works like a slow leak, one memory at a time, and it's happening while the child is busy becoming a person. And now the part that should stop you cold. Those lost years are not lost on you. They built you. You have no memory of learning your first language, and yet you speak it right now without effort as I say these words to you. Somewhere in those blank years, a fear got planted, or a comfort, or the bone-deep certainty that one particular face means you're safe. You don't remember the lesson. You kept the result. Every single person is walking around shaped by a stretch of time they can't visit. The most important years of your development are the ones you will never consciously recall. You are the sum of a story you can't read back. And that flinch you feel at a raised voice? That calm that comes over you near the ocean, or in a certain kind of warm kitchen. Or when a stranger hums a tune you'd swear you've never heard before. Remember the reminder that woke those babies' memories back up, the glimpse of the mobile that switched everything back on. A smell, a sound, a room can do the same thing to you. Some of that may be the sealed archive leaking through, triggered by a cue you didn't even notice. Not as pictures, as feelings, as the shape you grew into without ever knowing why. So go back to that photograph, the baby you can't remember being, held up to a camera, face wide open. You used to think there was nothing behind those eyes worth keeping, that the recording only clicked on later, once you were old enough to matter. But the recording was always running. That baby was paying ferocious attention, learning faster than you ever will again, filing all of it into a room that would seal itself shut before you were old enough to hold the key. Nothing in there got thrown out. It got locked in, and you've been living in that house every single day since, shaped by 3 rooms you will never walk into again. There's a photograph of you that you can't remember anyone taking. Now you know why, and you know something stranger too. Somewhere behind your own eyes, that baby still remembers.